The email came through at 6:47 p.m. on a Thursday while I was reviewing clinical trial data for a new autoimmune drug. Subject line: escrow wire instructions, 247 Lakeshore Drive. I stared at it for 10 seconds before opening it. My lake house. The one I'd bought 18 months ago as a wedding gift to myself. Someone had initiated escrow. I called the title company. Got transferred twice before reaching the escrow officer handling the transaction. Miss Patricia Vance, this is Dr. Emma Vance. I just received wire instructions for a property at 247 Lakeshore Drive. I didn't authorize any sale. Dr. Vance, let me pull up the file. Typing sounds. Yes, I have the transaction here. Your brother Marcus Vance is handling the sale on your behalf. He presented a valid power of attorney 3 weeks ago. The closing is scheduled for Monday at 2 p.m. I never gave my brother power of attorney. Pause. The document looked legitimate. It was notarized, properly executed. Can you send me a copy? She emailed it immediately. I opened the PDF while still on the phone. The power of attorney had my signature. Or something very close to it. Dated 6 months ago, notarized by someone in Phoenix where Marcus lived, granting him full authority to sell any real estate I owned. I'd never been to Phoenix. I'd certainly never signed this document. Miss Vance, this is forged. I need this transaction stopped immediately. I'll need to consult with our legal department. But Dr. Vance, the buyers are already in contract. They've done inspections, secured financing, hired movers. If we stop the sale now without clear evidence of fraud, the evidence is that I never authorized this. That signature isn't mine. And my brother has committed identity fraud. I understand your concern, but we need proper documentation. Can you provide proof that the power of attorney is fraudulent? I almost laughed. You need me to prove I didn't sign something? How exactly do I prove a negative? Perhaps a notarized statement from you saying you didn't authorize the sale? Or documentation showing you were elsewhere on the date the power of attorney was supposedly signed. I checked the document date. April 14th, 6 months ago. I pulled up my calendar from that week. I'd been in Washington, D.C. presenting to the FDA's Oncologic Drugs Advisory Committee about a breakthrough cancer treatment my company had developed. I was in D.C. that day. At the FDA. Presenting to the advisory committee. There are transcripts, video recordings, witnesses. That should work. If you can send those over by tomorrow morning, we can halt the transaction pending investigation. I promised to send everything and hung up. Then I called my brother. He answered on the 4th ring, laughing at something in the background. Emma, I was just about to call you. I have amazing news. Why is my lake house in escrow? The laughter stopped. Oh, yeah. I was going to explain that at Sunday dinner. It's actually a great opportunity. Marcus, you forged a power of attorney and listed my house without permission. I didn't forge anything. Dad helped me get the paperwork done. You were busy with your FDA stuff and we didn't want to bother you with details. You can't sell someone's house without bothering them with details. Emma, calm down. This is good for you. The buyers are paying $890,000. The house is only worth like $750,000. I negotiated a great deal. I don't want to sell it. But you never use it. You've been there twice since you bought it? It's just sitting empty while you work 80-hour weeks. This way you get almost $1 million and I can use the proceeds to fund my startup. Your startup. MediTrack. It's a revolutionary health monitoring app. We're going to disrupt the entire medical wearables industry. I just need capital to finish development and start marketing. The lake house sale would give me exactly the runway I need. With my money. Well, technically yes, but you'd be an investor. I'd give you equity in the company. 20% for your contribution. By contribution of a house you're stealing from me? His voice hardened. I'm not stealing. I'm helping you liquidate an asset you're not using so we can both benefit. You're being selfish about this. I'm being selfish? You forged legal documents. Dad said you'd react like this. He said you've always been territorial about money. That's why we didn't tell you up front. We knew you'd be difficult. I hung up. Sunday dinner at Dad's house was mandatory in our family. Missing it without a good excuse meant weeks of guilt trips and passive-aggressive comments. I almost skipped anyway, but decided confrontation was better than avoidance. I walked in at 1 p.m. to find Marcus already there with his laptop, running through a presentation about Meditrack. Dad and my stepmother Karen were nodding along like he was presenting the cure for cancer. Emma, perfect timing. Marcus gestured to the empty chair. I was just explaining how the lake house sale is going to fund the next phase of development. The sale that's not happening because I've submitted evidence to the title company that the power of attorney is fraudulent. Dad set down his coffee. Emma, don't be dramatic. Marcus needed your signature. You were busy. We facilitated the paperwork. That's what family does. Dad, did you forge my signature? I helped Marcus obtain proper authorization. Did you sign my name to a legal document? He looked uncomfortable. The notary confirmed you'd authorized it verbally. I never spoke to any notary. I was in D.C. presenting to the FDA when this was supposedly signed. There's video evidence, transcripts, witnesses. The document is completely fake. Marcus closed his laptop. Okay, maybe the execution wasn't perfect, but the intent was legitimate. You own a house you never use. I need funding for a company that could change healthcare. It's a logical solution. It's theft. It's strategic asset reallocation within the family. You'd still get equity in Meditrack. I don't want equity in Meditrack. I want my house that I bought with my own money to celebrate my engagement. Karen leaned forward. Speaking of which, honey, did you really need to spend $750,000 on a lake house? That's a lot of money for a vacation home you barely use. I use it exactly as much as I want to. And how I spend my money isn't up for family vote. But it affects the family, Dad said. Marcus is trying to build something. He needs capital. You have excess real estate. It makes sense to forge documents and commit fraud? That makes sense to you. Marcus stood up. You know what, Emma? You've always been like this. Hoarding your success, refusing to help family when we need it. You make $500,000 a year working for Big Pharma. You buy expensive houses you don't need. And when your own brother asks for help launching a startup that could actually help people, you act like he's stealing from you. You are stealing from me. You literally forged my signature to sell my house without permission. Because you would have said no. Just like you said no when I asked you to invest in my last company. And the one before that. You only care about yourself and your precious FDA approvals and your lake house that sits empty 11 months a year. My last company failed because your business model was fundamentally flawed and you refused to listen to anyone who told you that. The one before that failed because you spent the entire investment budget on office furniture and executive salaries. Why would I fund another guaranteed failure? Dad slammed his hand on the table. That's enough. Emma, you're being cruel. Marcus is family. We support family. I support family by not enabling their worst decisions. Funding Marcus's startups is like giving money to someone with a gambling addiction. It doesn't help, it just delays the inevitable crash. I stood up. The title company is halting the sale pending fraud investigation. I've already contacted a lawyer about pressing charges for identity theft and forgery. If either of you have any sense, you'll cooperate with the investigation instead of pretending this was some kind of helpful family intervention. I left and drove to my lake house. It was 90 minutes away, nestled in the mountains, surrounded by pine trees and overlooking water so clear you could see 20 feet down. I'd bought it after my engagement to Daniel, imagining weekends away from the pressure of pharmaceutical development, quiet mornings drinking coffee on the dock. Daniel and I had broken up 3 months later. He'd said my job was more important to me than the relationship. He wasn't wrong. But I kept the house. It was mine. A place I'd bought for myself when I thought I was building a future with someone, and I kept it after that future dissolved because I was building something else instead. I walked through the empty rooms, checking to make sure Marcus hadn't already sent people to pack up my things. Everything was exactly where I'd left it from my last visit 2 months ago. My phone rang. Unknown number. Dr. Vance? This is Dr. Robert Morrison. I'm calling from the FDA. My stomach dropped. Dr. Morrison was the director of the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research. He'd been at my ODAC presentation in April. Had overseen the approval process for the autoimmune treatment my company developed. Dr. Morrison, how can I help you? I received an unusual call this afternoon from a title company in Colorado. They were trying to verify your whereabouts on April 14th. Something about a real estate transaction. Oh God. The escrow officer was thorough. I'm so sorry you were contacted. There's a family situation. My brother tried to sell my property without authorization, and I submitted evidence that I was in D.C. that day presenting to ODC. I didn't expect them to call you directly. The escrow officer was very professional. She verified the ODAC schedule, confirmed you presented that morning, even asked for documentation of your presence. I assured her you were definitely in Washington that day. He paused. Dr. Vance, is everything all right? Is someone attempting to defraud you? My brother forged a power of attorney to sell my lake house. He's trying to fund a medical startup and apparently thought my real estate was fair game. Silence. Then, a medical startup? What kind of medical startup? Something called MediTrack. A health monitoring app, supposedly. More silence. Dr. Vance, can you send me information about this company? We've been tracking several fraudulent medical device apps that make unsupported health claims. The name sounds familiar. I felt cold. You think Marcus's company is fraudulent? I don't know enough to make that determination. But if you can forward any materials he's shared about the product, I'd like our Consumer Protection Division to review them. I sent him Marcus's pitch deck from my email. The one he'd forwarded 2 months ago when he first asked me to invest. Dr. Morrison called back 30 minutes later. Dr. Vance, your brother's app makes claims that would classify it as a medical device requiring FDA approval. Claims about diagnosing cardiac arrhythmias, predicting diabetes onset, monitoring blood pressure. These aren't wellness features. These are diagnostic tools. Has he applied for device approval? I have no idea. I'm going to have our division look into this. If he's planning to market this app without proper clearance, he's violating federal law. And if he's soliciting investment based on medical claims he can't legally make, that's securities fraud. Monday morning, the closing was officially canceled. The buyers threatened to sue for breach of contract. My lawyer pointed out that the contract was based on forged documents and they'd be suing my brother, not me. They withdrew their threat and demanded their earnest money back. Tuesday, the FDA opened an investigation into MediTrack. Turned out Marcus had been showing the app to potential investors for 6 months, making specific medical claims and collecting commitments for a $2 million funding round. None of it was legal. Wednesday, my wedding to Daniel was back on. We'd reconnected 2 months ago, started talking about what went wrong, realized we still loved each other. The wedding was scheduled for October, small ceremony at the lake house. I'd invited 40 people. Daniel had invited his family and friends. I didn't invite Marcus or Dad. 3 weeks later, the FDA sent Marcus a warning letter. MediTrack couldn't market as a diagnostic device without approval. His investor commitments evaporated overnight when they realized they'd almost funded an illegal product. The securities investigation was ongoing. Turned out several of Marcus's previous startups had made similar unsupported claims. The pattern suggested serial fraud rather than naive mistakes. Dad called to ask if I could talk to my contacts at the FDA about being lenient with Marcus. I said no. He said I was destroying my brother's future out of spite. I said Marcus destroyed his own future by repeatedly breaking federal law. Karen sent an email calling me vindictive and selfish. I blocked her. October. My wedding was perfect. Small ceremony on the lake house dock, 40 guests, sunset ceremony, dinner on the lawn. Dr. Robert Morrison attended. He'd become a friend over the months of working together on the autoimmune drug approval. He gave a toast about the importance of integrity in both science and relationships. Daniel and I honeymooned in New Zealand. 2 weeks completely off-grid, no work emails, no family drama. When we got back, there was a voicemail from Marcus. Emma, I need to talk to you. The FDA thing has gotten worse. I might face criminal charges. Dad says you're the only one who can help me. Please call back. I deleted it. Daniel asked if I felt guilty. For what? Not funding his fraud? Not lying to federal investigators? Not letting him sell my house to finance illegal activities? For cutting him off completely? I thought about it. No. Marcus has spent his entire adult life taking shortcuts, making promises he can't keep and expecting family to bail him out. The FDA investigation isn't my fault. It's the natural consequence of him repeatedly breaking the law. I'm not going to sacrifice my professional reputation to save him from his own choices. Your dad's going to blame you. He's blamed me for everything since I stopped enabling Marcus 5 years ago. I can live with it. 6 months later. Marcus pled guilty to securities fraud and FDA violations. Got 2 years probation, $100,000 in fines, and a permanent ban from soliciting investment for medical products. Dad sent one final email. I hope you're proud of yourself. You destroyed your brother's career because you couldn't share one house. I wrote back. Marcus destroyed his own career by committing federal crimes. I just refused to be an accessory. There's a difference. He didn't respond. I still have the lake house. Daniel and I spend most weekends there now. We're converting the extra bedroom into a home office so I can work remotely sometimes. The view from the dock is extraordinary at sunrise. I'm glad I kept it. Some people build their lives around family approval. I built mine around integrity and defended it against people who thought family meant I owed them my assets.